Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Free Thinking with Montel. Of course, I'm your host, Montel Williams, and today we're exploring a truly inspirational story about our young heroes in this country who are making such significant impact on global issues, especially this one, global food security, one hydroponic tower at a time. Our guest today is Steven Hoffen, a high school student who's already changing the world through his nonprofit. You heard me right, through his nonprofit. A high school student started a nonprofit called Growing Peace. Stephen, thank you so much for being a part of the show today, sir. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, you're not even out of high school yet, my friend, but you've already raised $80,000 for your nonprofit, Growing Peace, and installed hydroponic systems in various communities around the world. I mean, first off, can you tell me what inspired you? Let my listeners know what inspired you to start such a remarkable initiative.
Yeah, so it all started in the summer of 2019 when I visited an organization in Israel called Sindiana of Galilee. Their mission was to create peace between Jewish and Arab populations in Israel by engaging women from each community in different sorts of activities, hoping that they would collaborate with one another and find common ground. So I was really inspired by their mission and by one specific project of theirs called the Hydroponics Project that I decided to create a film highlighting Sindiana during the summer of 2020. And
Wait. 2019, you go there. 2020, what are you in the 10th grade when you did this?
2020, I think I was 7th grade.
What? What? You gotta be kidding me, my friend. Out of the blue, you just thought, I think I'm going to make myself a movie. Come on, man. What was going on in your life at that time that made you so? I mean, you have parents, I'm sure, that were very inspirational. That's who helped take you to Israel, right? But I mean, where did this come from? Where did you think, I think I'm going to do a movie?
I mean, it really came from just when I visited Sindiana, what was really inspirational, first of all, was their mission. But what I found even more powerful was the fact that the people that toured me around the visitor center there, it were the two co-founders of Sindiana. One was an Arab woman and one was a Jewish woman, and them just coming together uh, to do something even as small as touring a group around their visitor center was so powerful to me. And that's what really inspired me to create the film. But not only that, COVID was actually kind of the perfect time to do this because everything, we found out about Zoom. So everything was a lot easier. And I wasn't really doing much else during that summer. So it was a perfect time to create this film. And I had the perfect inspiration for it.
That's great. I got to tell you, I should back up and tell when I was in high school, junior high school, I got very, very politically involved, or I should say, I did. I got politically involved in my 10th grade year. I ended up being the president of my class my junior year. My senior year, I was a student elected to the Board of Education in my county. My senior year, I was part of the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils, the Maryland Association of Student Councils. So I got very, very much involved, and I do understand. And a lot of people don't understand that there's kids like yourself and young people like yourself. I shouldn't say kids, but young people like yourself, and even in some regards myself. When you get a bug and you know that there's something that you can do and it's worth fighting for, we need to give more young people like you more credit for having the ability to do things like this. So I just say that kind of as a nice pat on your back. But my friend, you're such an inspiration for so many others. This could not have been easy. I mean, talk a little bit about the challenges that you face when you were trying to start this Growing Peace. And again, you're now in 8th grade by then, and you're saying, I think I'm going to start a nonprofit. People must have looked at you like you were crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not super conventional for somebody that's very young to start their own kind of initiative. And also, I guess some of the challenges that I faced. Luckily, we didn't face too many challenges at the beginning, but obviously, I can't. I'm young, so I can't. I can't start a bank account. I can't file paperwork to register as a nonprofit organization, 501(c)(3). But we got that all done with the help of my mom, and I'm very grateful to all the support that I've received at the beginning of my organization. That's allowed me to come to the place that I am now.
And having the backing of parents who believe in, I mean, again, you walked in the room and said, I think I want to do this. And your parents said, okay, let me help you do whatever it is you need to do to get done. I mean, tell me a little bit about some of the communities that you've helped.
Yeah, so with Growing Peace, we have installed 7 different hydroponic systems. So we have one at a food pantry in Tel Aviv, Israel, that services these Eritrean and Sudanese asylum seekers who come into Israel. They flee their countries, coming into Israel hoping for a better life, but they often find it hard to put food on the table for themselves and for their families. And then we have 6 more systems scattered around New York City. So we have some at food pantries, some at community centers, and then just this summer actually we've installed 2 at correctional facilities in New York. So we're
What?
helping.
Wait, what? You installed 2 of these hydroponic trees and systems in a penitentiary?
Yeah, so we have actually it was early this year we installed one at the Edgecombe Residential Treatment Facility, which is a minimum security prison, and then we have just this summer we installed one at the Queensboro Correctional Facility, which is also minimum security. But yeah.
Do you then teach the inmates and employ them on how to take care of it?
Yeah, so for the majority of our systems, me and our partner organization slash our hydroponics provider, Green Food Solutions, maintains the system. But for a lot of our systems, we actually we do offer educational courses for those that are interested in learning more about hydroponics.
And just to put a little context to this, how much food does each one of these systems actually yield on an annual basis?
Yeah, so I mean, our average system probably yields anywhere from around 1,500 to 3 or maybe 4,000 servings of fresh produce each year. Um, and obviously, servings is a little bit complicated. We usually say servings around like 3.5 pounds, but it's that's going to be a little bit less if we harvest things like cherry tomatoes or strawberries or cucumbers. But generally, we can maybe do 500 to 800 pounds of produce a year, and per system.
And go through what some of the produce is again that you actually create. You do cherry tomatoes. You just said a couple of cucumbers, but what are some of the other vegetables that you can actually grow?
Yeah, so you can really grow anything that grows from the ground. It can't have too complicated of a root system, but most things that grow from the ground and not from trees, you can grow. So generally, with our hydroponic systems, we start off with leafy greens, so kale, lettuce, cilantro, basil, mint, that sort of thing. And then as depending on what the organization that we're partnering with wants to grow, we can then move into things like bok choy, cherry tomatoes, fruiting crops like cherry tomatoes, strawberries, cucumbers. That's really exciting.
Well, and clearly this hydroponic. So explain to people why hydroponic and not some sort of a vertical garden where you're using soil. It's much more efficient using, and you use a little less water when you do this kind of a grow system. Do you not?
Yeah, so hydroponics is better in so many different ways. It's more sustainable because with hydroponics we use about 70 to 80% less water than traditional farming, and we don't use any soil at all, which is really great because as climate change becomes worse, we're losing access to fertile land to be able to grow food on. And additionally, it's more sustainable because we can basically create local food production systems instead of having to always emit a bunch of greenhouse gases by transporting food over long distances. And aside from that, I mean, hydroponics, you can grow throughout the entire year at 2 to 3 times the rate of traditional farming. And most of all, which I think is really great, because we're primarily growing indoors, we don't have to use any pesticides or herbicides. So because I mean, there's no bugs. So
And now, is it very, very light intensive?
it is. So I mean, we when we can, we use natural sunlight as in addition to the lights that we install. But for the majority of our system, or for all of our systems, actually, we use these little LED or these lights that hang off of the towers, kind of like little octopus arms, to power, I guess, what the function of the sun would normally be in traditional agriculture. That consumes a lot of energy, but the other sustainability pros kind of outweigh that con.
Well, like, how do you measure success of your hydroponic installations, let's say in different communities?
Yeah, so I guess the goal that we have with I guess just growing peace, the goal that growing peace is kind of looking after is to both alleviate food insecurity and try to alleviate climate change, and then also promote hydroponics as a means of sustainable agriculture. And so uh, when we look for marks of success, we're looking for whether or not we've been able to consistently provide fresh, healthy produce to a community for a certain amount of time, and then whether or not we've also been able to potentially educate community members on hydroponics or on sustainability in general.
I mean, I can imagine that you've got to be picked on quite a bit. I mean, with all the bullying and junk that's going on in schools and things. I mean, how do your peers respond to the fact that you just basically left them in dust? Sorry, yeah.
Oh, I mean, not many of my peers, I guess, really know about growing peace, and the ones that do, I guess, they're I guess supportive of what I do. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't experience any bullying, which is good.
I mean, you were featured with CNN's Heroes of the Year awards, were you not?
Yes, yes. I received the CNN Heroes Young Wonder Award late last year.
Wow. And I mean, how did that go over in your school? Did everybody know you got it?
No, actually, I'm pretty good at keeping, I guess, some of my achievements on the down low,
Low
which is
profile.
the way I prefer it, anyways.
Sure, sure. Keeping it on a low profile. That way, yeah, you don't. I mean, I would think it would be intimidating to a lot of your peers knowing that you're out here, already raised $80,000 and you didn't even get out of the eighth grade. Which is kind of crazy. Can you share some particularly memorable stories from, say, one of the communities that you've worked with?
Yeah. So I guess that's a great question. I guess during 2020, in 2023 and in 2022, I volunteered every week at one of our systems, the Young Men Young Women Hebrew Association of Washington Heights. So what we do there is we educate kids there who go to an after school program about hydroponics, and we also donate the produce that we grow to a separate program through the Y. And I guess uh, my memories there are just unlimited. I love seeing when the kids come in; they're excited, they have smiles on their faces, they just light up when they see the hydroponic system and they get to experience it.
And
And then
they gotta light up when they know they're being taught by somebody who's barely much older than them.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Right?
Um, and then also when we're able to donate the produce to the seniors there, that's really gratifying and satisfying for me.
I'm sure because some people who have a little bit of food insecurity, knowing that you give that away for free, you donate it, right?
Mm.
So it's got to be. I mean, just for yourself. I mean, you do recognize how different you are, right, Stephen?
I suppose so. Yes.
Man, there's no shame. Look, let me tell you, my friend. I'm not saying to you that you need to walk around with a trumpet and blast. I'm so great, but there ain't any shame in patting this every once in a while, recognizing that you truly are one of the leaders of your generation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, yeah. How do you engage local communities to ensure that your project meets their needs? Do you meet with people first? And I would really love to hear you tell me how those meetings go. I'm sitting here, I'm the city councilman, and I hear that I'm going to have a meeting in a few hours with a young man who's doing some innovative things, and then all of a sudden you come walking in the door. I mean, you got to tell me about the looks on their faces when you school them on the fact that you've got a project that is working as well as it is.
Oh, I mean, I guess most of most of the meetings I have with like the communities that I'm looking to install systems in, they're mostly just like constructive about things like where like what kinds of produce they want to grow, whether or not they want to get educated. But I'm pleased to say that a lot of the communities that I've worked with have been very, supportive of my projects in general. And they love what I'm doing, it's really great to have that kind of support.
Just take a second for a second. School my listeners and my viewers. Explain to them, we've been talking about hydroponics, and some people may not recognize exactly what it is and how it really works. Let's go back, do a little tutorial here. Explain what hydroponics is and why it is so much more effective in some ways than natural soil or soil growth.
Yeah, so hydroponics is a relatively new. It's not new, but compared to traditional agriculture, it is new. It's a new way of growing produce that doesn't require any dirt at all. So instead of growing plants in soil, we take all the nutrients that you would traditionally find in soil, and we put it into water to create this really concentrated nutrient solution. We take this solution and we pass it through the roots of the plants, and that's what provides the plants the food and the nutrients that they need to grow.
And is that
Uh,
is that water recyclable after you pass it through? I've seen, some of the hydroponic systems where the water flows through and the roots are there being bathed and the water keeps going down the path. But I mean, eventually, I guess the nutrients are sucked up by the plant. So you're still left with a liquid. Do you recycle that liquid and do it again?
yeah, so you can recycle the water itself. You just have to add more nutrients every once in a while. But that exactly what you're saying is what makes hydroponics so water effective. It uses 70 to 80% less water than traditional agriculture, which is especially important now because of climate change. And so because of all these the different because of the way that we grow, we can have a bunch of different very sustainable configurations of hydroponic systems.
How do you see hydroponics playing into and contributing into more of a sustainable future?
Yeah, so I guess the company that I work with specifically, actually, their goal is to install these really small local hydroponic systems. And so the benefit of that is really if we have these local systems, then we can reduce the emissions that come out of transporting produce over long distances by creating a local food production system. And so that is probably one of the biggest parts in creating a sustainable future. And then just in the future in general, I've recently been asked a couple times about how I think this can play in like space missions and stuff. Like if you can install hydroponic systems into different like with that astronauts can use in the spacecrafts, and I think that's a really cool idea. And it's definitely more viable in space than traditional agriculture.
How big is each one of your units? How large are they?
So my the systems I install in New York, they have like a central container at the bottom. It's a big water reservoir, and then they have a much thinner cylindrical tube that comes up. So it's maybe at the bottom, it's maybe 3 feet in diameter, and then the actual tower itself is probably a foot in diameter or a foot and a half. And then they can vary depending on how tall we want the systems to be, from anywhere from like 5 feet to 8.5, 9 feet. Um, yeah.
I mean, is this something that I'm thinking about in the future? Could you make a consumer product tower in the sense that make a small enough unit that people could, let's say, put it in their backyard or put it, on their balcony, and a unit 3.5 feet long, high, then something like that would grow them enough vegetables to last them a lifetime, pretty much, right? I mean, if they're growing consistently, they can literally supplement their grocery bill every month by just growing their vegetables at home.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, the systems that I work with are primarily, for larger scale things, but they actually do sell these like really tiny, cool hydroponic boxes. With that's It's a lot smaller of a scale, but people can definitely go out and purchase these systems for just a couple $100 that they can just keep in their home and grow their own produce to, like you said, supplement their groceries.
Wow. And what's next for Growing Peace? Or do you have any new or upcoming projects that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, so I mean, this upcoming school year, I've already started. I'm going to be volunteering at the two prisons I mentioned, so the Edgecombe Residential Treatment Facility and Queensboro Correctional Facility. I'm going to be volunteering twice a week, once at each of those systems. And I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to volunteering there because I think it's so cool that that we've managed to install a system in correctional facilities. Um, but as far as future projects go, we're still looking at a bunch of different sites where we can potentially install systems. We're looking at potentially maybe expanding outside of New York City, which would be exciting. But yeah, it's bright future for Growing Peace, I think.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, your work has not gone unnoticed. I mean, again, you received several accolades, including the CNN Heroes Young Wonder Award and, the Diller Teen Cocoon Alum Award. I mean, personally, for you, my friend, does that recognition really help drive you to continue to do more?
Yeah, I think the recognition obviously helps when it comes to funding and stuff, but I think just the idea that people like what I'm doing and people support what I'm doing and even want to help what I'm doing, that's very powerful for me, and it's for sure a source of motivation to continue my projects.
I mean, you haven't even gotten out of high school yet, my friend, but you're developing skills that most entrepreneurs in this country wish they had. I mean, I know this is going to, there's no question this is going to help you in the future. Give me some idea of what you're looking ahead to thinking. I mean, what's your dream? What do you want to do? What do you want to be?
Um, I guess I want to go to college, obviously. And in college, I want to potentially study something related to maybe filmmaking or environmental science, engineering, sustainability, sustainable agriculture. So I definitely want to get into that sector in college. And then as far as my goals with Growing Peace, um, I want to continue installing more systems, and maybe I'll try to set up a board of directors in the future so that they can help me manage my projects. But as far as my what job I want to get, I'm really not sure yet. But I think I know what I'm interested in, and I really look forward to pursuing things like sustainability in the future.
I mean, you have so many years ahead of you. You don't have to make up your mind yet, my friend. It'll probably change 5 or 10 times over the course of the next 5 or 6 years, anyway. What advice would you give to other young people like yourself who want to make a difference in their community? Because, I mean, from my perspective, that seems to be where your driving force is. You want to make a difference. So you got other young people that are out there thinking, I'd love to be able to do something. Some of them are going to be watching you today and going, man, I wish I could do things like Steven, but I don't know where to start. I mean, what kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, I guess the biggest piece of advice that I would give another young person would be you have to find what you're really passionate about, because that's the thing that you are going to work the hardest to achieve. So for me, that was filmmaking, that was sustainability, agriculture. If it were something that I wasn't interested in, I wouldn't push myself to become super to create a highly successful organization in it. So really, you have to explore your passions and then pursue it.
Absolutely. I mean, again, advocating for things like sustainability, and agricultural practices in their own community is something that I think, a lot of young people, especially in your generation, are paying very close attention to because you've seen what my generation and the generations after me have left for you guys. Um, Again, how would somebody who wants to get started doing what you're kind of doing in their own neighborhoods, where do you think they should try to start?
Do you mean like trying to start their own
Yeah,
hydroponics?
yeah, or at least starting, to have the discussions about sustainability in their own community, and hydroponics being a part of it, but making sure that these young people understand that just like you, they have a voice, and that voice will be heard if they just step up to the plate and do some things. You know what I mean? How would you advise them to just get started?
Yeah, I guess get started is really the big thing. So you really have to take your first leap of faith into whatever you want to pursue, whether that's helping your community battle food insecurity or climate change. You have to obviously do research, and then just dive right in. And your first couple of projects might not work out, but you have to push through those obstacles to achieve a great result.
Stephen, your story is truly inspirational, my friend. And for our listeners out there who want to support Growing Peace or get involved, what can they do and where do they go?
Yeah, so I guess the primary place you would go is my website, growingpeaceinc.org. There you can find my social media if you want to go check that out, and then updated information on how all my projects are going, um, and things like that. And then also, if you want to donate, don't feel pressure, but there is
No, feel pressure. Feel pressure. Donate to this guy. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no.
That was me saying that, not you.
So so just go to my website, growingpeaceinc.org. Information on my projects, social media, and then you can even watch my film there if you want. But yeah,
Cool. Well, look, Stephen, I got to say, man, your story is absolutely inspirational. I mean, you are really a beacon of hope and a powerful reminder that of the impact that one person can make on not only their community but the world. And so, I personally want to say thank you to you. Something I'm going to say to you that I'm sure you have already done, and I'm sure that you think about from time to time. But as a young man like yourself, who had quite a lot of success, I think, in my high school years. One of the things that I took for granted in a way, just thinking that they understood and knew I was saying it, was I think I took for granted just to say thank you to my parents for all the help that they gave me. I want to remind you of that because, even though you think that they may know that intrinsically, my buddy, nothing like that feels better than having a young man like you look a parent in the face and say, thank you for what you've done for me and helped me turn out the way I am. So if you have a chance, make sure you
I'll
do that
do
for
it.
your parents.
Thank you so much for that advice. Actually,
Excellent. Absolutely, my friend. It'll go a long, long way. All right. Well, I got to thank you enough. And I'm going to tell you again one more time website.
growingpeaceinc.org.
Okay. I want all my listeners to make sure they go up on that website, take a look at your video, and also, donate if you can, because, things like this don't happen in a vacuum. We need support. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, let us know what you think. I mean, because your subscriptions and your reviews help to go a long way in keeping me focused on what it is you want to hear about. So I want to thank you all for being here. Stephen, I want to thank you. Again, love that family of yours. You take care of yourself and you keep on keeping on, my friend, because we need you as a leader of your generation. We need you, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me
Absolutely.
on.
Oh, without a doubt. There was no hesitation whatsoever. We love having you on, my friend. You be well. And if you ever want to come back, shoot me a note, my friend. Let me know what's going on. Keep me posted, okay?
Definitely. Thank you very much.
All right, friend. Be well. And for you out there, make sure you tune into the next episode of Free Thinking with Montel. Thanks for joining me on Free Thinking with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear your feedback, so please send us your comments.